Right? Doesn't that kind of add up? Like what Kevin's saying kind of adds up, and it makes where he's coming from a logical place. A place where you could sit and be like, well, you know what? If you think about it, he's got a point.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare, and in this episode, we are going to talk about everything wrong with last night's Saturday night's main event. A show that I would actually think would be better named Main Roster Takeover, because that's what Triple H is doing with Saturday night's main event. He took a show that was an institution of professional wrestling, a show that is meant to further storylines, a show that is meant to capture moments more than matches even, I would think, a show that's supposed to start setting up angles or finishing angles and just doing random thrown together one-on-one matches. At least this time, the one thing better about this Saturday night's main event that they have over the previous one that was just over a month ago is the fact that they had a contract signing. Wow, something besides an actual match to happen at a Saturday night's main event takeover, NXT style main event show. But the best thing about it was Shawn Michaels. Right? The only reason that was at all interesting or intriguing or it meant anything at all was because you had the Heartbreak Kid coming out doing his sexy old boy routine, right? With the one eye going this way and the other going that way. Hey, listen, I love Shawn Michaels. I'm sitting here in my Shawn Michaels hat because I was happy to see that they actually did something a little bit more substantial with the Saturday night's main event card. However, it came at the expense of having a match, right? So in the previous Saturday night's main event in December that I attended with my family, there was just 5 matchups. In this event last night, there were 4 matches and a contract signing. And if you ask me, the contract signing, by far the best part of the show. We had 4 very good matches. Let's not sell the wrestling short. It was a great show. We had some good matchups. It just feels shitty that most of them didn't really mean much of anything. With the exception of the Intercontinental Championship match, none of these other matches on the show really have anything going on outside of this one particular match. There's no stories really brewing behind these other things. And that's part of the thing that gets me annoyed. One of the things wrong with this Saturday night's main event and the one previously. It's about the storyline. Yeah, I know that. Obviously, I know that. I've been sitting here for years arguing just that because we've been getting shows like this where the wrestling is good, the stars are mostly over and are people that we want to see, but what they're doing doesn't matter. Does Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax matter at all? It had 24 hours to really gain momentum because they did a little something between them on SmackDown, a little something between them on Raw, but nothing substantial. No real feuds, no real heats, no real rivalry between these two girls. They've only recently, I believe, ended up on the same show. Did they move Nia Jax to Raw? I don't know. I'm confused with this trade window. This guy showing up here, and now he's part of the roster. Damian Priest is now on SmackDown. Finn Balor's probably pissed. I don't know what's going on. Everything's kind of up in the air right now in the WWE, isn't it? Talk about things being up in the air. Oh my God. How about Jacob Fatu, right? The Samoan werewolf is my favorite thing in professional wrestling right now. He and Bronson Reed. Oh, but they did the exact same thing, right? Fatu just did what Bronson Reed did to Seth to Braun Strowman. There's the hook. He did it to Braun Strowman. He annihilated this man. I think Jacob Fatu spent more time in the air during his moonsaults, constant moonsaults on top of Braun, than it took him on his flight to get to his next destination after the show. Saturday night's main event kicked off with the exact same promotional package from the last one. Only they inserted some moments from the last episode of Saturday night's main event, I guess to break it up so that you didn't realize you were watching the same exact intro reel from the previous show. Kicks it off. We see Jesse the Body Ventura. We hear from Jesse the Body Ventura. We see a couple of legends coming into the arena. They would end up doing nothing. The $1 Million Man showed up to laugh on screen a couple of times, not really get into anything. I don't understand it. I don't understand the point of bringing the legends to just stand there and wave. Make them do something. Make them put somebody over. Have the $1 Million Man in the back talking to The Miz, or offering some guidance or some cash to some superstar to do some stupid shit. It's Saturday night's main event. No, this is what we get. Oh, look, the $1 Million Man is here. Ha 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 ha. You couldn't have thought of a better use? I just gave you 2 better uses in my lead up to this bit. Holy shit, man. You got Dory Funk Jr. in the crowd. You're showing him off to a generation of people who have no fucking clue who Dory Funk Jr. is. Mark Henry was there. It was great to see Mark Henry. Why not have him get in the ring? Not to wrestle, but to do something. Have an interview. Maybe backstage he bumps into the fucking New Day and they do something to get even more heat on themselves. Maybe Mark Henry offers some guidance and they shit all over him the way they shit on Big E. That's what these shows are for. Not just for wrestling. I know I'm missing a few. The Brainbusters were there. A bunch of old celebrities and former wrestlers were there. It all amounted to diddly squat. They were there, we showed them, we moved on. First matchup of the night definitely exceeded my expectations. I had absolutely no interest level really in the outcome of this match. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. World Championship on the line. Nia Jax fails in what ended up being a very decent match. This was the first time I think that Nia Jax didn't actually really botch a maneuver in recent memory, but most of the stuff was a little ugly looking and kind of sloppy and typical Nia Jax kind of form. Rhea did what she could, and I was very impressed. I guess she knew that Saturday night's main event is important. It's different. It's supposed to be special. So she goes out and pulls out a fucking Code Red from out of nowhere. Randy Orton style. Holy shit. Nobody expected to see that. And then she actually hits the Riptide on a significantly larger Nia Jax, who is notorious for sandbagging people, and looks like she definitely did. I don't know if it's so much an intentional sandbag or she herself can't even support her own weight to help her opponent do what they gotta do. I don't know. She hits the Riptide, gets the 1, 2, 3. Nia Jax is done. Right? So now Nia versus Ripley, that's done. Right? You can't do that at WrestleMania. And then after the match is over, Nia Jax, she's like, oh, I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? You just lost. And now you're going to go to the Royal Rumble to try to get another shot at one of the 2 titles that you recently, 1, lost, and 2, couldn't win from Rhea Ripley. Who cares? Moving on tremendously quickly. Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker defeats Sheamus in a fairly good match. I didn't think this lived up to what it should have been, considering that this is most likely, or hopefully, the last time we were going to see these 2 square off. Sheamus has had a couple of chances to get this belt from Braun Breaker. The one belt he has not been able to capture in his entire career thus far. Jesse the Body was on commentary. I was really afraid that they were going to give the belt to Sheamus, because I'm really into the Braun Breaker run right now. I don't think they've done it justice. I feel like they need to do a lot more with Braun before they take it from him and let the Intercontinental Championship for the men shine just a little bit, right? Because he kind of just been in the background, sitting in the crowd, waving to people for the first couple of episodes on Netflix, Raw. We still haven't seen him wrestle on his own show. We see him wrestle here tonight, though, and it was fantastic. I'll tell him this much. Braun Breaker, if you're listening, bro, I love your intensity and I love your fire, but you gotta calm down, bro. You're gonna jack your fucking neck delivering spears like that. You almost speared Sheamus into the upper deck. He took off like a bolt of lightning and decapitated Sheamus without even hitting his head. He hit him with his own head. It was like a battering ram. Looked like Ram Man from He-Man. Head first right into Sheamus. I thought he was gonna be dead. Both of them. Just a little advice. Just maybe, make sure you get it with the shoulder. Watch that head, bro. My man runs 25 miles an hour. Naturally. Gonna kill somebody. It was insane. But there was a little bit of the shenanigans towards the end of this match, I guess, to try to protect Sheamus. Apparently, and Jesse was like adamant about this after the show, and my daughter even told me, yeah, Dad, he definitely counted 3. But the foot was on the ropes. The ref called it. He seen the foot on the ropes before he called the match conclusion. Just because he hit the mat a third time does not mean that's when the match ends. He has to count to 3 and then call for the bell. And he counted 2, 3, and then saw Braun got his foot on the ropes, so he didn't stop the match. That's how it goes. I was confused as to why Jesse was so confused, but perhaps they were just using this or using him as a mouthpiece to protect Sheamus. Like, Sheamus had this match won. He should have won this match. And Jesse was like, no, he should be the champion. He should be the champion. The ref counted to 3. Right? You heard the whole thing, and you could see Michael Cole physically getting, like, annoyed and being like, oh, shut up, Jesse, we gotta move on now, but Jesse being Jesse just kept doing his thing, although I don't think he really had a leg to stand on, but he was trying to do something there, but I don't know exactly if he was 100% correct. And if that's gonna be the one thing they use going forward to continue Sheamus versus Braun and Sheamus's continued attempt to become a Grand Slam champion, I guess that would be a good place to start. My favorite moment of the night definitely came at the contract signing. It was very intense. Shawn Michaels came out. He was ready to moderate. Kevin Owens was ready to hate. And Cody was ready to kick some ass. You could literally see Cody like boiling beneath his skin, just being within inches of Kevin Owens, and vice versa. Kevin Owens, conversely, was wearing a Cody Sucks Eggs shirt, which was a very nice callback to Terry Funk when he was fighting Dusty Rhodes, and he came out wearing a shirt that looked exactly like that, only it said, Dusty Sucks Eggs. So, KO still out there trying to throw little Easter eggs for us old guys to enjoy, for us to know, or for us to think that he's the guy we should be rooting for, right? He wants us to know that his knowledge of wrestling is pure, that he knows his history, that he respects the history of pro wrestling, and that he hates Cody Rhodes' guts. And let me tell you something about this. I'm a big Cody fan. We're a Cody Rhodes household. I'm Nick Nightmare. He's the American Nightmare. So it's a whole thing, right? But don't you feel like Kevin has a point sometimes? The way he's talking and some of the things he's saying, it's like, well, if I were Kevin and Cody were my friend and he did these things, I would probably feel exactly the same way. I most definitely would. I don't know. how you feel. You let me know if you would feel the same way, if you were Cody's friend. Do you think Kevin Owens has a leg to stand on? I don't know. But sometimes when he's talking, I'm like, damn, he makes a little sense here. Cody's kind of been acting like a jerk, right? And he's teaming up with Roman, and he thinks he's doing the right thing. But at the same time, he's kind of spitting in the face of all his real, old, loyal friends, right? Doesn't that kind of add up? Like what Kevin's saying kind of adds up, and it makes where he's coming from a logical place, a place where you can sit and be like, well, you know what? If you think about it, he's got a point. But that doesn't mean you got to root for him. Right? Although I'm kind of torn. The wrestling fan in me is very much torn. Because I feel like Kevin's doing some of the best work he's ever done. And he's got to get some kind of reward for it. Right? So that reward should be maybe to beat Cody. The Cody run has been going well. Why not throw a bump in the road? And maybe have him win it back from Kevin at Mania. Make that a fucking thing. Or do it at the Elimination Chamber. You have options. You're not locked into anything, right? There's nothing that really says Cody Rhodes is definitely going to win at the Royal Rumble. We'll have to just wait and see. But if Kevin does win, maybe we shouldn't be that mad at him. Because maybe, he just might be right. Food for thought. Food for thought. Talking about food, let's talk about two monstrous men who probably eat more food combined than we'll ever even look at in a lifetime. Braun Strowman defeated Jacob Fatu because Jacob Fatu can't keep his shit together. This man went out there and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Samoan Werewolf deserves to be top tier talent. He took a guy like Braun Strowman and left him in a pool of his own blood. He didn't even give a shit that he lost the match. He didn't give a shit that Tama Tonga came out and was trying to calm him down. He didn't give two shits about all the security and the executives and the referees and everybody that came out to try to stop him. He just did what he wants to do. What makes him feel good. And what makes Jacob Fatu feel good is fucking violence, man. Holy shit. I counted, I believe, if I remember correctly, 12 running hip attacks right square in the mush of poor Braun Strowman. Definitely he's got a broken nose, probably a dislocated jaw, maybe a busted eye socket. His face looked all fucked up and mangled at the end. It looked like a horror movie. Braun Strowman looked like he just legitimately got murdered. And Jacob Fatu was the serial killer that did it. Holy God. And if that wasn't enough, of course he has to go up and moonsault him to death. Each time everybody thought he was done, he would leave the ring and then come run back and do it again. A second time, a third time, a fourth time. And when you look at what he left in the ring of poor Braun Strowman and compare it to what we've seen previously, the very similar situation with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, there is no doubt in my mind that Braun got his ass beat worse by Jacob Fatu last night at Saturday Night's Main Event. I bet Braun would have rather been splashed through the top of that truck 10 times more than having ever stepped foot in the ring with my man, Jacob Fatu. And again, listen, I love Braun. I feel for him tremendously, right? He got his ass whooped, and he got it whooped big time. But sometimes you just look on the screen and you see the future, right? I look at guys like Priest and I look at guys like Bronson Reed, and I look at guys like Jacob Fatu, and I see the future of professional wrestling. And moments like this are what are just one of the bricks that they used on the foundation to build that road going forward. The man is a megastar. He's unlike anything else they got going on right now. And after he just did that to Braun, everybody on the roster should be terrified of him. And who's next? We'll have to wait and see. How long till Roman's next? For Jacob Fatu. Interesting. The future. Looking pretty bright. Jey Uso's future's not, though. Or perhaps it is, but it definitely wasn't looking that bright when the match came to an end. The main event of Saturday night's main event takeover edition. World Champion Gunther defeats Jey Uso. Everybody knew this was coming. Right now is not the time to beat Gunther. Now would not be the right time to crown Jey Uso the champion. I have no problem with Jey Uso winning the belt. I would have had a problem with him winning it here on this night. Much like Braun Breaker, I don't believe that WWE and the heads on Raw have given Gunther his just due as the World Heavyweight Champion. He's been booked very shitty. He's been booked as an unconfident until recently, right? With the whole thing with Sami Zayn, and then the whole thing with the last match with Damian Priest and the loss of confidence and all this shit. Yeah, he keeps winning, but that's just, to me, that's not the character. That's not Gunther. That's not what he would do. He wouldn't give two shits about most of this stuff, and he would just keep on wrestling and beating people's asses. So, I don't like the way they've been booking him. He needed a solid win over a heavy hitter superstar, and he definitely got one tonight. Jey Uso deserved to be in that main event. He took a beating like crazy, man. And there were a couple of really close near falls where I actually thought they were going to give it to him. I thought they were going to give it to Jey Uso. Especially after that last Uso splash right before the end. I was like, oh my God, that's it, he's going to win. But then Gunther kicked out and then had this burst of adrenaline and drove Jey Uso into the mat twice with his jacked up powerbomb and ended up squashing him, folding him in half, getting the 3 count. Very good main event here. My favorite match of the night, however, remains Braun versus Jacob Fatu. Best thing to happen, because this was the one thing outside of the contract signing where they took it seriously, right? Seriously, meaning like Saturday night's main event. They're like, all right, we have this big show. We've got these 2 big guys. We booked this random match with no heat, completely cold, but the whole entire world is into it, and everybody was hyped about it. Especially this guy. I couldn't wait to see this match. And they ended up delivering without clearly delivering a winner or a loser as far as the statistics concerned. Right? I mean, the win column says Braun Strowman wins, but he wins by disqualification, so it's not Jacob's fault. But then when you look at the little asterisks there, and you see Braun Strowman left as a bloody mess, who really won that match? So I kind of enjoyed most of Saturday night's main event. We talked about all the things that were wrong with the show at the start of it. The most of it being just the fact that it's not truly capitalized on, in my opinion. There should have been way more interview segments, interactivity with the legends, cool stuff happening backstage. I don't know, maybe have a live band play somebody's entrance song once in a while like you used to do at special events. Would have made it feel bigger. But it essentially just feels like main roster NXT TakeOver. And I get it. That's Triple H's wheelhouse. It's what he knows how to do, and he knows how to do it well. But when I'm tuning into Saturday night's main event, I'm not looking to watch a takeover. When I go to Vengeance Day and I watch anything from NXT, that's when I'm expecting takeovers. Not big level returning television shows whose sole purpose, the sole existence of Saturday night's main event was to drive storylines and push viewers to buy the pay-per-views, which nowadays are PLEs, and more than even that, is to drive people to subscribe to fucking Netflix. And I wish it wasn't like that. But it is. Thankfully for us, at least, we had a fairly decent show. Those are my thoughts. You let me know yours down in the comments section below. Thank you for being with us here today. I hope to see you back here again. If you missed anything on the channel recently, I'll have a couple of videos here talking about my last Saturday night's main event review, for which I was there live and still had problems with it, because here on Sledgehammer TV, that's what we do. We talk about everything wrong, not just what's right. Thank you so much. I am Nick Nightmare, and we will see you next time.